earlier today, I had asked Rachel how old her dad was because you and I talked about it the other day. She said that she didn't know what year her father was born in. And I had to explain to her that the only reason why I even know what year my parents are born in is because yours is 5252.
Right.
You'd never fold 2s and 5s in poker, and I've lost to hands that you should have never held on to in the first place.
That is a fact. I still do it because I know as soon as I fold them, karma will give me a boat or 4 of a kind.
And I hate it so much. You have no right playing that hand, and yet you always do.
Yes, I do.
The reason why I wanted to talk to you about pub games was, one, obviously you influenced me on it, as well as like all of us, I guess you could say. Yes. There's, as we talked about in the last episode with Jordan, there's 6 of us, but all of us, I know I've played at least one of darts, pool, poker, foosball, something with all of us at some point in time. So just for those who don't know, can you give paint a word picture, if you will, of your current basement layout?
Well, yes, the game room. I have right at 175 bar signs, beer signs, lights. In the basement now. It's spread out and gone down the hallway.
Yep.
Mixed in some
and
music up the stairs, down the hallway, in the bathroom. They're everywhere. It just keeps growing. Trays and now a lot of concert memorabilia. But there is a pool table. There is a Japanese slot machine.
Yep.
There's foosball table, and there is always darts.
Right.
Or as we would say, dots.
And just to convince people never to leave, there's also a fridge built into the wall.
There's a refrigerator built into the wall. There's a gas log fireplace.
Yes, there is.
And there's lights that can be dimmed, and there's stereo and with built-in ceiling speakers. So it is a game room, and there's also a 4K TV down there now, Roku. So,
oh, brag about it. I didn't know there was a TV down there now.
Yeah.
Oh, ooh. I remember when we watched the Super Bowl, when you had a Super Bowl party, you had to drag a TV down from somewhere else to put it in that room.
that was one of life's most embarrassing moments because the TV down there went out, and I had a few friends over, but one of them I was trying to impress because it was Ralph Sampson from the Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
And we brought down I think a 12-inch color portable that we pulled out of the RV, and we set it on the pool table, and we watched the Super Bowl.
Ralph was very impressed, I'm sure.
Yeah, that game was not bigger than life.
No, it was not. Oh, that's rough.
It was. And Ralph's never come back over.
I wonder why.
I don't know. I guess it's just too much going on for him to handle. That actually happened.
Yep.
And it was rather embarrassing, but hey, life happens.
Yeah,
show must go on.
That's right.
Well, 12-inch broadcast.
You still got to watch the game.
We did.
So
we did.
I don't know what y'all are complaining about.
Yeah, I will never remember who even played that Super Bowl, but I know what it was played on.
That's how I feel about most Super Bowls that I watch.
Yeah. So anyway, so the basement is still laid out, and we still play down it. Just the last 2 weekends, Brooke and April and myself have played darts and have played pool.
Yeah, and I mean the girls, Brooke and Brady, grew up with that because you've had most of that room, at least game wise, their entire lives.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly when the slot machine came in, but I know for sure you had the pool table and the darts.
Yeah, the slot machine came in probably when they were about 6 or 7,
Yeah.
because a nanny was still here
Yeah.
when I had that slot machine, and the pool table, I probably picked it up maybe a year or so after they were born. I
Yeah.
know,
So,
no, actually, we had the pool table because I remember we lost power. Ice storm took down several pine trees, which took down the power lines,
mhm,
and we went down to the basement because we had the gas log fireplace.
right.
No power, but we lit up our lanterns from camping and fired up the gas logs and just stayed in the basement for 2 days. And they were babies.
Yeah.
And ABC was driving around their news truck, and they came in and filmed us in the basement for that night's news,
Oh,
and
really?
and interviewed us. Yes. So we were on ABC that night, roughing it in the basement.
I don't know if I could describe that basement as roughing it, but yeah, works.
Well, that we don't have to do that anymore because we put a generator on the house last year. So, and we've already
Smart.
used it 3 times. It's wonderful.
Smart. Very smart. Um, so with pub games, we got pool, darts, your foosball, and then poker, we've mentioned, just kind of always has been around. I know I grew up around it. But I'm curious where your start with it all happened, because I kind of have somewhat of an idea. I think you said your mother owned a bar or worked at one.
Owned a couple. Well, we called them honky tonks in the day. They were little bars.
Mm-hmm.
We served no food, so it was strictly a bar. There's eggs in a pickle jar, but it was just
Oh
booze.
God.
It was booze and games. But really, even before that, growing up on military bases were really nice as a kid to grow up on, because they have organizations within the base for dependents, and every base has swimming pools, movie theaters, bowling alleys. They would have an arcade on the bowling alley. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember being exposed to pool tables at the bowling alley as a kid in Corpus Christi, Texas,
Yeah.
probably 8, 9 years old, and being able to go in there and play pool all day long for free, as long as they weren't older kids or sailors playing. But during the day in the summertime, it was pretty much a free run of that pool table.
Yeah.
So that's my first exposure to the arcade. There, of course, they had pinball in those days. Video games didn't come around until 1970s,
Yeah.
1980s. And then also associated with the military bases, because a lot of the fathers would ship out for 6 months at a time. The same organization that they had volunteers that would pick up dependent children and take us to Boys Clubs of America once a
Oh.
month.
Okay. Yeah.
And when we got to Boys Clubs, they had pool tables. So we got to play pool tables at the boys clubs. And then of course mom had the Blue Note Lounge, was one of the bars. And then Ruthie and Shirley's, with her and her girlfriend Shirley, owned a bar, and they always had pool tables, shuffleboards, some darts.
Yeah.
But I always remember, and of course a jukebox. But I remember the pool table. It was a quarter table, and mom would paint the quarters that we played on and that she gave out for the jukebox. She kept a bottle of red fingernail polish
Mm-hmm.
behind the bar, and you paint the quarters because you didn't have to pay your vendor for those plays on the jukebox or those
Mm,
plays in the game, because those were house quarters where you played for free just to
right.
keep the entertainment going. So
Right.
we always had a handful of red quarters to go play pool at the bar when we went in on Saturdays and Sundays to help clean up and stuff. So that
Was
was my exposure.
did she own those in Corpus, or was
Yes,
that?
that was in Corpus Christi, right outside the Naval Air Station there
Oh,
in
okay.
Flower Bluff.
Okay, nice. I for some reason in my head I just always thought that maybe she owned those in East Texas in Gilmer.
No, no. By the time we got up to there, my grandmother was Pentecostal, and they
Hmm.
were um non-drinkers, non-smokers, non-cussers, non-everything.
Right.
My grandmother died at 70. She never owned a TV, never owned a telephone, and never owned a car.
Yeah.
So they were non-everything. So, and I guess my mother, it was time to repent a little bit after living heavy and on the edge for her first 40 years of her life. But that was all in Corpus Christi. And then of course Gilmer's dry.
That's true. I should. Well, it was dry.
Yeah, it was dry. I heard that it's gone wet, but so you'd have to go to Gladewater or Longview to even be exposed to a bar of any kind.
Yeah, that
But
makes sense.
but yeah, the games were always there, and then when you get to a little rural town of East Texas, since you brought it up, I'll segue into Gilmer. Um, Gilmer, there was really absolutely nothing to do as a teenager, especially for one growing up in San Diego and in Corpus Christi,
Hmm.
and then rural East Texas in the late '60s, with nothing. They roll up the sidewalks at 5 o'clock, and there's one Dairy Queen open and one gas station, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, there was a gentleman that built a Dairy Mart, and he built an arcade in the back of the Dairy Mart out
Mm,
there right at the Y where you split off to go out to Sam and Dorothy's old house.
okay.
And he put a pool table in there, and he put some of the first video games. He had a foosball table, pool table, and with me growing up playing them, I was an instant star because none of the rural kids really knew how to play pool. Probably a lot of them had never even seen a pool table,
Right.
for real. And so me being able to walk in and already had years of experience of
Yeah.
playing pool, then I was the king of the pool table, and it builds up your self-esteem and gives you some street cred, and all those feel good endorphins start getting released. And I couldn't hang on to a quarter for all through high school because I was always at the Dairy Mart shooting pool if I wasn't working or at school.
Yeah. And I would probably imagine that Charlie was probably right there with you too.
Oh, well, yeah. I usually probably had to go over there and pull him out of trouble, but but he wasn't ever too far behind.
Yeah. Was he because I can't even think if I've ever like played pool with Charlie before. Was he a big game
He was, but as he got older, remember he had all those back surgeries, and
back?
so
Yeah.
he really couldn't play pool. But he still plays the slot machines. He'll play
Hmm.
shuffleboard. He'll throw some darts, but
Yeah.
just bending over the pool table
Right.
would just wear him out.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That all kind of connects. I just didn't know if it was Woody's over there shooting pool and Charlie's over there talking to the girls.
Well, yeah, Charlie would be doing a little bit both, but yeah, we'd frequently have to holler at him that it was his turn.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds like Charlie.
Yeah. But like I said, my dad played pool. Sailors and military people, because um, they spend a lot of time in areas where there's rec rooms and
Yeah,
pool halls and beer joints and what like that. You're always around a pool table.
yeah. Your dad was in the Navy?
Yes, he was in the Navy for 20 years.
Oh, I knew he was in the Navy for a long time. I just didn't know it was like career 20 years.
Yeah.
Because you and Charlie were in the Navy too, but it was
Charlie did 4 years. I only did about a year and a half.
I knew your youth with pool because of the bars, and then I know years later the Pennsylvanians, right? April's family,
Uh-huh.
and all their crazy games of poker, and then everything we did. Is there anything between those gaps, like you in Corpus/East Texas, and
Oh yeah, the darts really came in heavy in the 1970s with all of my Braniff people. Max
mm,
Jones, he had darts. Don Smith, they had darts. It was a good way of passing time, real cheap, is to go and throw darts. And
yeah,
everybody had darts in their house, in their grind, still do to this day.
yeah,
But it was just a good way of, you had leagues where you could play darts and leagues. And so that came in Dallas when I worked for Braniff and had probably 25, 30 guys that we did everything together, from playing softball leagues to flag football leagues to basketball leagues and whatnot.
You are frustratingly good at darts. Like pool, I can hang with you a little bit. I may need a game or two to kind of get back into the rhythm of shots, but I'm okay. I'll beat you every now and then. Darts, you level the playing field by playing with your offhand and still dominate.
Well, I had to go left-handed against everybody, all the kids growing up, just to make it fair.
Yeah, but it's not fair when you're 6'4" and when you extend your arm, you're 3/4 of the way to the board.
Yeah, I still hear that. The girls want me to line up with the pool table, not the fireplace when I throw.
I mean, it's only fair. Y'all would be releasing from the same place.
Yeah. I remember we had someone come over here, and he was telling me, he says, well, why don't you just reach over there and stick it in the board with what you want. He was being tacky. But yes, it is an advantage when you can gain 3 feet closer when you release the dart.
Right.
But darts is kind of a universal language among bar people.
Yeah.
You talk about how certain clicks in life, if you know bar games, I can walk in any American Legion place in the country. I can walk into any place in the country, and literally within minutes, especially if you've honed your skills, then people are buying you drinks and acting like they've known you all your life because, they're trying to recruit me for the next game.
Right.
Which happened in Longview. I'll get off on a tangent and I'll tell a story about
Please do.
Tyrone, which went by Ron later in life, but we went out to a bar and I walked in and he was in a dart game and asked me if I stay around. I was with Charlie and I said, sure, I'll play with you. And so we played and we were way ahead and we were playing 501 double in, double out.
Mm-hmm.
And the other team got all the way down to where they just needed 10. They had 10 points, so double five would win the game for them. Yeah. And we were sitting on 80, 8 something odd, 87.
Yeah.
And came up my turn and the guy was talking about, okay, last darts. I said, well, that's fine. If it's last darts, what do I need? I said, let's get a 7. That'll get me down to 80. Then I'll do a triple 20, 60 and a double 10. I said, how's that? And I sat up there and I went, boom, 7, boom, triple 20, boom, boom, double 10, and walked off and said, good game. So, people are buying your drinks the rest of the night. So, and they're begging me to stay on for the next game and for the next game. And of course, Ron was just elated because he was throwing darts, but he was chunking darts.
Right.
I was throwing darts.
He was the type of guy who is the reason why you have dart holes in the wood in your basement about 10 feet from the board.
In the sheetrock.
Yeah, the sheetrock.
Him and my wife. I remember in Kansas City, we were at Guitars and Cadillacs. April has a few dart stories, but she hit the exit sign above the door that was about 5 feet to the left of the dartboard.
No.
One throw. And another time, someone was razzing her about how she was throwing the darts, and she turned around and threw the dart and literally stuck it in his leg.
No.
Yeah, he was wearing shorts. Mike was his name, and stuck the dart right in Mike's leg where he had to pull it out.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah. We have all kinds of dart. We have dart chunkers and dart players, but they can become weapons, and people take their darts serious, especially if they're getting beat all night long.
Right. Wow.
But darts are fun. And like I said, it brings some camaraderie.
It does. It's also one of those games where, unlike pool, darts is a bit more international as well.
Yes, it is.
Like if you want to play pool with someone from Britain, you're going to be in trouble because they want to play snooker.
Right.
you know, but darts is the same. Like 501, you got to count down from 501 to get to 0. Like that's the game that they play. You know,
Right,
that's
double in, double out. You
double
got
in, double out.
none of the points start until you hit a double, and then you have to end on the exact 0 with the double.
And it's an easy game to explain too, even if you're not playing that. If you're just playing, you know, what's it, the rotation or cricket? Yeah,
cricket, rotation, baseball. Baseball is easy.
yeah.
Baseball is every inning. You score runs. You have 3 darts, and then you're out, regardless whether you hit anything or not. But the
Right.
only thing that counts in the first inning is 1.
Yeah.
So if you how many ones, you can hit the double or the triple. The maximum you can score is 9 runs in an inning.
Yeah.
But the second inning, you're shooting 2.
Yeah.
Third inning, 3, et cetera. And if you're tied at the 9th, then the only thing counts is the bullseye from that point over in extra innings. So they're easy games in the rotation. We don't play the baseball a lot because there's a lot of things to keep up with.
Yeah.
But
also, you have a board. You already have a chalkboard that has the cricket scoreboard on it.
Right. And it's the most popular game internationally is cricket.
Yeah.
And I can almost hit 15 through 20 blindfolded. In fact, I just like to shoot triples.
Yeah. For those that don't know, cricket is you have to hit 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 3 times. And is it the bullseye once or 3 times as well?
3 times.
3 times. So
and you have 2 bullseyes. The center red is worth 2, and the center black is 1 point.
1.
Yeah. So that's when that's when I started putting up dartboards when I lived in Dallas and in the house and always had darts because everybody that I knew in those days were dart players.
Yeah, makes sense. You mentioned in there that you had you're good at darts. You show people you're good, and then everyone buys you drinks to get you going. That made me think about how you've not only, I would say, essentially quit drinking. You're not. I wouldn't say 100% sober because someone has a drink that's different. You might have a sip just to taste the flavor, but that's all you have. It's very minimal.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I haven't since 1995. I haven't had more than a sip of something to taste and see what it is. If someone has a mango margarita, curiosity says, I need to taste that because all I can do right now is just pucker thinking about it.
Right. Or when I was I think I made April Tootsie Rolls. Yeah, which is Kahlua and root beer, and you're like, that. There's no way you had to know that it tasted like a Tootsie Roll.
Exactly. Yeah. So I drink for curiosity, you might say.
But that's most people who like quit drinking. That's not something they can do. And not only did you quit drinking, you also quit cigarettes, which is also considered extremely hard to do. I mean, it is hard to do.
Yeah, that's probably the most difficult thing to quit. I didn't start till I was really in my late 30s, and I quit for 2 months, 6 months, 5 months.
Yeah.
But it's just so easy when you walk back into that bar and to have one. But I don't know if you heard the story about how I actually quit. It was because of Troy Rush. Remember Terry and Troy in West Palm Beach? Troy called and Troy was diagnosed with brain cancer.
Yeah.
Troy was like 42 years old. And so we flew down and I was sitting in his backyard, flew down for the weekend and took him out for dinner and talked with him. And because once he was diagnosed, it was so far advanced that they said that he had probably 4 or 5 months maximum. Right. So we flew down immediately and spent the weekend at their house, and we were in his backyard, and we were both sitting there smoking a cigarette. And his brain cancer started in his lungs and went into his brain. And I said, Troy, you got to quit these cigarettes. And it's like, well,
as you're
Woody,
puffing on one.
Yeah, Woody, who's teaching this class?
Yeah.
And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I said, I am, Troy. And I reached over and I snuffed the cigarette out, and I've not had a drag off of one since. And that was probably 2004, 2000. No, the girls were born in 2002. Yeah, around 2004 is when I quit.
Yeah.
And have not even so much as ever wanted a drag off of one again. So something that hard that hit you.
Yeah.
And I made a commitment to him. I'll get off of him. You get off of him. But unfortunately, he passed away about 4 weeks later.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what got me off of him.
I mean, sometimes that's what it takes, right? You
does.
You need that motivation.
Yep. You do.
Well, I'm proud of you for quitting both because I know it's not easy.
No,
Yeah.
it's not, and they're not. There's not a a, a healthy component associated with either one of them.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure, like you said, part of it is, you go to bars for, just like general entertainment and stuff. And,
Sure.
it's like, it's just part of the atmosphere. And did you have trouble like going back to places like that after, or since the
No.
girls were born, did you kind of stop going anyway?
Well, yeah, we definitely quit going. When before the girls were born, the last couple years, we have an American Legion
Mm-hmm.
that has a bar right across the highway from us,
Yeah.
and I ran their bingo operations, and bingo is huge fundraiser for
Oh yeah.
American Legion. 2 nights a week, 50 weeks a year,
Yeah.
and make. We'd have proceeds around $100,000 a year is what it
Yeah.
brought in to give right back to the community as the American Legion spends all their money locally on uh, veterans, disabled, uh, that have medical discharges, widows, etc.
Yeah.
So I was over there around, and there ain't nobody smokes like a bunch of bingo players and
No.
casino and people at a slot machine. But
And all veterans too.
and all veterans,
Yeah.
yeah, because the veterans. My dad would tell us they would get 2 packs of cigarettes in all their K rations, whether
Yeah.
you smoked or not,
Yeah.
because they used them for bartering. You could trade it for a Hershey bar or something if
Right.
you didn't smoke. But yeah, veterans, the vast majority of them smoke like chimneys, without a
Yeah.
doubt. But yeah, so I when the girls came along, twins, it was just very difficult to continue to go over there and work and volunteer. We still are members, and we still stop by and visit them. And the girls go and do Thanksgiving baskets for the widows and things like that every
Mm-hmm.
year. But we don't go around them. But my wife being German Polish, believe me, we're still in bars and
Yes.
yeah, restaurants, as that she would say.
Restaurant. Right.
If they serve a pickle, it's a restaurant.
It's a restaurant. Okay. Right. They have bags of peanuts.
Yeah, absolutely. Beer nuts. But it doesn't bother me, and it doesn't bother. April quit when the girls were born, so she
Right.
quit a year or so before me.
Yeah.
But it's
Smoking, not
it
drinking.
goes. Yeah, exactly. We'll never quit drinking. That whole family is just it's amazing because when we go camping and nobody is working, the bacon goes on and the Budweiser opens up 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but when you're camping, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Time is different.
well, how about just visiting up there for the weekends? It's still 7 o'clock in the morning. The Germans they pop that beer and they don't even take it out of the refrigerator. They just go out on the back porch and grab one, out of the damn fresh air and drink
Right.
one. It can be warm or whatever.
It doesn't really matter to them.
No, it's beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So since we're already talking about those German Polish folk,
Uh-huh.
That is where that group is definitely, I know, where I really learned to play poker, because the games they play are the most ludicrous and downright dumb versions of poker I think you can possibly play, and they are so much fun.
They are, and they still are inventing games.
No, they're not. How could you invent more games? We had like 12 to 20 games that we played, and each one had its own rule variations depending on who was playing.
That is, and yes, and how late the night gets, and how tacky the games can become. But they, first of all, they are poker players. They are casino goers.
Mm-hmm.
They just will bet lottery. They just have that betting in them, and it's a bag of quarters. We're not talking about uh, a lot of money. Although last weekend I was up there and I played in between acey deucey, and I matched a $48 pot with an ace and a 3, and April was dealing and she gave me a 2.
Okay, you're going to have to back up a little bit because while I understand what you mean when you say in between AC Doocy, there are a lot of people who are like, what are we talking about here? And also, it's not just quarters. It's like nickels, dimes. And don't you dare say it's not a lot of money. When I've watched people go to that table with a bag of just random change and leave with hundreds of dollars in a single night.
That is true. That is true.
Of course, it is $100 in dimes and quarters, but it's a few $100.
It's a big sack. Or as Jeej brings a bucket. Yeah, Jeej has a little bucket. But anyway, yeah. So in the AC Doocy in between, you're dealt 2 cards face up, goes all the way around, and then you can bet anything that's in the pot up to a matching the pot or a nickel. That your card will fall in between the 2 that are given. Yep. Obviously, an ace and a deuce is the biggest split possible because of all the variations that can fall between. Yep. So where you really show what you're made out of is when you make a $5 bet and you got a 9 and a jack.
Right.
And
because if it lands on the same exact, so say you have a 9 and jack, if it gets a 9, you lose. That's not between.
No,
it's got to be between.
It's a 1 card hit.
Exactly.
And if you're counting cards because you keep dealing until the cards are gone, and I have a formula where I'm counting 2 through 5s.
Yeah.
I'm counting 6 through 10s. I'm counting face cards, and I'm counting aces. So in my mind, I've got 2 aces, 7 face cards, 4 midders and 6 little ones. I have that stored in my head toward the end of the deck. So when I get a 4 and a 9, I already can rule out, well, I've already played 12 face cards.
Right.
All right. I've already played all 3 aces. I've played 2 through 5 6 times. So I have a much higher percentage that I'm going to land in between there, and I may bet the whole pot, $25 on a 5-card split.
And that's where that game gets crazy, because
it does crazy.
When you have like 5-6 people playing this game, you can see everyone's cards because it's all face up, and everyone's making bets. But since you're going through the entire deck, at the end of the deck, you may have started, like you said, your lowest bet is a nickel, right? Like you may start that low. At the end of it, you're looking at 25, 30. I've seen crazy games of that pushing $50, $60.
I matched over 100 one night.
No.
on a 2 king.
I mean, you have to though.
And I drew an ace.
Oh.
And it was 103. 103. Now again, it started with $1.50 because we start with $1 because April will say $1 in instead. Normally our ante games are always a quarter ante, but on in between it's $1. Everybody throws $1, so the pot's $6. But I'll give you an example. Just happened last weekend. There was $3 in the pot. April matched it, and she did not get it. So there's $6 in the pot.
Right.
It went to Jeej. She got 2 queens.
Mm-hmm.
You can split them.
Yep. And play 2 hands now.
And then she got like a 4 and a 5.
So 4 queen, 5 queen.
4, good hand. So she matches the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And she missed, and she didn't get it. They dropped a king on her or something.
Yeah.
And
so now we're at 12.
Now it's at 12. And so she matched it again.
Yep.
Now it's at 24, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mike was sitting behind her, and he had an ace 5.
You got to match it.
He matched it again.
So now we're at 48.
48. And then Carol won it without even knowing, because her dick said play it because Carol can't see. And she's sitting there looking. He said, and he just goes, "She'll match it." I don't know what I'm at. He said, "You'll match it." And she had like a 4-10, and she won it.
Okay.
So in 4 hands, it went up to $48. From 6.
And then the blind woman won it. Now I forgot. I completely forgot in my head that Carol's blind.
Yeah.
And now I remember that 15 years ago, we were playing with her with the cards that are meant for blind people, where it doesn't have a full face on it. It has a giant suit.
And we still play with them,
even though she doesn't see them anyway.
Right.
But she still plays poker. Like, that's what I love, is that she's still at the table, and all the suits are 4 different colors. Like, it's red, green, blue, and black. Yeah. And I love those cards.
The difference, it helps us all now.
Because 15 years ago, she was 70.
Right, exactly. Now we're 70, and I appreciate those cards.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Hey, at least I didn't think you were 70. All right, and you were losing your sight.
Yeah. Well, but I can read them cards.
yeah, the big print large ones.
The big print ones. Yeah, but some of the crazy games, we have a plucker. So you're playing 7 card stud. You got 2 down, you get 4 up, and then the last one's down.
Yeah.
Well, if a 3 comes up, then you can take anybody else's card. You keep your 3, you don't trade. You get to take anyone else's card, or you can pull one from the deck sight unseen.
Is the one that you take from the other people, does it have to be face up, or can you pull a face down one?
You can do anything you want. You can take any card that you want. So now there's some animosity in there, okay? All right. If she happens to be pissed at her sister, she's taking her card regardless whether it helps her hand or not. Just 'cause. Right? And I said, stick within the game. The guy's got an ace over there. It gives you a pair of, I want Gigi's card.
I don't care if I win. Yeah. She's not getting this $3.
Yeah, she badmouthed my pot roast. So that's one of the crazy games. They got slide trombone, where you put three down on one side, 3 down on the other, 1 in the middle, and you flip them up and play 5 in your hand, plus those on the table. The 1 card in the middle slides up and down to form 3 cards across.
Oh my God. That one even confused me.
Yeah. Okay. Black Widow, Queen of Spades. If 7 card stud, if it comes up, it kills the hand. And everybody just re-annies, and we start over again. The pot stays out there.
Oh, I like
if it's in the hole, it's wild.
Okay. Yes. So let's talk about wilds. But before we do that, Ezra's crying. I don't know if you can hear him. I'm going to go check on him real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll be right back. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for being a little flexible there.
Oh yeah, not a problem. Not a problem. I'm totally flexible here tonight. I got my dogs down here in the office with me now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dogs.
All right. Well, you want to pick up? We were talking about the some of the crazy card games.
Well, specifically wild cards. We got to talk about wild cards, because I know most people, when you say like wild cards, they're like, okay, so you play a game. Maybe you play with the jokers, and the jokers are wild, or maybe just ace is wild. No, we're talking Dr. Pepper. We're talking, like you said, the Black Widow. We're talking
baseball.
So
queens and what follows.
Queens and what follows, which is crazy.
Yeah. And baseball is 3s and 9s.
3s and 9s. Yep. 3 outs, 9 innings.
Forzy Morzy. You flip over a 4, you can buy an extra card for 50 cents from the dealer.
So you have to put more into the pot?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. But you get another card.
Yeah. Hey.
Okay. We play progressive. So you flip over, dealer flips over. It's 7 card, no peak.
Mm-hmm.
Dealer flips over a card that you have to beat. That card is wild when it comes up until the next card in sequence comes up, and then it becomes wild.
So you could say, like, say a 4 comes up. 4s are wild, but when a 5,
it's not wild until the first 4's turned up behind it.
Gotcha.
So there's 3 4s remaining. Mm-hmm. So when that 4 comes up, it's wild. But then if a 5 comes up, 4s are no longer wild,
right?
And 5s are wild.
So your hand could change completely.
It makes everybody stay in and continue to ante on a dead hand.
Yeah,
because they may have the 6 and 7,
right?
And there are 2 6s even though they're got someone else on the table's got 2 aces, they'll stay because if it gets to 6s now, I'm going to have minimum 3 of a kind.
Right. My goodness, y'all's games are crazy. I love it.
Yeah, so that's progressive. Have first deuce to the center. It's wild for everybody, and then every deuce you have in your hand after that becomes wild as well.
Wow.
So yeah, we almost have a wild card on everything. You can have a playing game to us is 7-card stud, 5's wild.
That's a standard.
That's a standard.
Like
and then we end the night on a cold hand where it's 5-card stud. $2 per player in the pot, and then 1 card on the side, and you get to call the highest spade, highest club. Everybody gets $6 for that, $12 out of the pot because there's 6 playing.
Yeah,
so you can walk away with $18 on the final hand. Yeah. One thing that we didn't talk about is when all the video games started coming in and replacing all these manual bar games.
Mm-hmm.
But all of that came in play, and so people got away from the pool games and and of course our parents played shuffleboard, and obviously we got away from that. Mm-hmm. The first problem is you had to have a 20-foot wall to play shuffleboard on.
Right. Yeah.
That was space prohibited.
Takes up so much space.
Yeah, but it was still fun to play. And then, Cornhole came along. Now, Cornhole's a nice manual game, and we have Cornhole games that we carry camping with us and throw it out there.
Well, there's 2 games that I've seen in the last 10 years come up that are easier access because you don't need a lot of space. You can pack it away. You can play inside or outside. Like Cornhole, it doesn't really matter where you're at, right? You just need a board with a hole and some beanbags or something else to throw through. But the other one is Bocce, because Bocce ball is a lot like a shuffleboard or curling, if you rather, on ice.
Right.
You throw 1 ball and then everybody throws the other balls and tries to get as close as they possibly can. And so you could just go out in a yard or a field or your living room. It doesn't really matter, and you just throw 1 ball and then everyone stands in the same spot and alternates turns trying to get close to it.
Yeah, bocce ball's not good if you're setting up close to the woods and your players are inebriated. We started off, I think, with 2 yellow, 2 red, 2 blue, and 2 green. I think we have 1 red, 1 yellow, 1 blue left in the box.
You bring up a good point. Plus, you have a creek that goes around your yard that has a drop off.
Yeah. But we don't know where the bocce balls went to.
Yeah, I wouldn't go looking for them either out there.
No, I've already actually killed 2 snakes in the skimmers. The pool's open because we had a tree fall in the pool.
Yeah,
and I had to have it replaced. So I've been having to go out in the skimmers in the wintertime, and I pulled 2 snakes out just this week.
Yikes!
Little guys, though.
Either poisonous or venomous?
I don't think so. No, they weren't. We only have copperheads and supposedly water moccasins. The rattlers are up north, Georgia, but the copperheads are our biggest threat, and neither one of them were copperheads.
That's good.
But yeah, the crazy card games they continue, and we play every time we go.
Yeah,
but like I said, they'll make up games that don't even make sense.
Most of them we play don't make sense. And I feel like y'all need to have just a catalog of rules, because it's hard for anybody new coming into that game to just, hey, can I hop in and play? I love playing poker. They're not gonna do well. Like our weekly game that we had going there in Duluth, if we showed up there, Kevin would lose his mind at those rule sets. Yeah. He's like, statistically, I can't follow this game. There's nothing I can do about this. It's just you can play all the casino type games with them, your hold'ems.
That's it.
But that's it. We're not playing anything crazy. We're not playing with wilds. We're not doing nothing.
No, they would not even hear of it. Polish poker.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're not playing any Polish poker.
For the longest time in my life, because of the Polish poker, I didn't understand or know that Crown Royal was an alcohol. I thought they made coin bags. Because everyone had a very nice velvet Crown Royal coin bag.
Still do.
You know, it was like, I was like, man, this is like the best type of coin bag. Why is anybody messing around with these little coin purses that are hard to open? Like,
and I actually have one that stays in the bottom drawer in the yellow bedroom in North Carolina, and I have one here at the house.
Yeah, because you never know when you're going to need $57 in nickels.
That's right. Well, actually, no. My safe that I'm looking at right now, I actually have rolls of quarters.
That's right. You do keep rolls of coins. Yeah,
I do.
Because I've seen you plop down at the Polish poker table with your rolls of coins and not your bag of Crown Royal.
I probably have $200 to $300 worth of rolled coins just on standby for poker.
You never know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And poker, you taught me a good lesson with that, because I mean, I have memories of playing y'all's Polish poker when I was probably starting at what, 10?
Oh, they'll invite you at 8. You know, a moment ago you made the comment about, yeah, I remember asking. No, you were probably invited because Dick, and he grabs, he'll tell Zach, come on, Zach, you're 5. You come on, get in this game. We'll show you how to play. Because
you're never too young to lose all your money.
That's right. That's right.
But it's a good life lesson to learn at a young age what gambling actually means.
Yeah, Jordan had a couple hard lessons with some, like a $50 pot.
I believe his was on high low.
It was on high low.
Because he still talks about how much he lost.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and like I said, I've had some really burnouts on high lows, and the crazy thing with these queens and what follows, like two games ago, I got beat. I had a royal straight flush, and I got beat, and I lost. And I'm bumping back, and I'm bumping back, and I'm bumping back, and I lost a 5 of a kind.
Yeah, because you don't know what hand's going to come out.
Well, I'm thinking my royal straight flush is just wonderful.
Yeah,
yeah. And I think mine was natural, so I wasn't even worried about it. And obviously, it gave all the wild cards to the guy that had 5 of a kind.
Right.
That should have told me when he was calling me back. If I have no wild cards, maybe he has them all.
But alas,
he had 3 of them.
What other? I guess what other like pub games we had? There was time where I know you had the
foosball.
There was foosball. What was the bumper pool?
Bumper pool.
Had that for a while, which is super fun and chaotic.
It is, and it's good if you've got limited space.
Yep.
Because remember, your pool cues are shorter as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And bumper pool, for those who don't know, is a smaller, like hexagonal shaped table, and there are actual bumpers on the table, and each person starts with like 5 balls. So there's 5 red, 5 white. And you shoot at the same exact time, and you're trying to bounce around the bumpers to get into the hole that's on the other person's side, all of your balls before all of theirs.
Right.
And it's just, you start trying to hit them at each other's, try to block each other's paths, and the bumpers can betray you in massive ways. Cause of course there's 2 right by the hole you're shooting at. And so it's just
covering it up.
Yeah.
Or as my mother used to say, somebody better put some panties on that thing. That's a fact. That was one of her favorite sayings. Put some panties on it.
Oh, God. Oh. Now I see where you get it from.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a whole lot more sense now. I'm getting a full picture of your life.
Yeah, it's a lot of characters in it for sure. And then I don't come close to my brother Charlie.
Charlie's not a real person.
Yeah. He's not. He's a cartoon character.
I want everyone to imagine Matthew McConaughey, but if Matthew McConaughey was literally, like you said, in a cartoon. Like, what is the cartoon version, the most extreme version of all of his most well-known characteristics? And you have Charlie.
he has made Brooke has carried with her since she was probably 5 years old.
I don't need to know that Brooke is using statements from Uncle Charlie.
No, Uncle Charlie told Brooke that she was downstairs dancing in the pool room one night when we were playing, and he told her, he said, "Brooke, I see a pole and a pair of 54-inch boots in your future." No. And she has remembered that for her entire life.
No.
Yep. Still talks about the boots and the pole.
Oh, I hope she's doing well at college right now.
Oh yeah. She's doing good. She got past it. Maybe that motivated her. I don't know.
That's a heck of a motivation. Oh, wow. Those are kind of like all my notes that I had there. Were there any other stories or games that you had thought of?
Well, the family games are great. We still play a lot of board games. We break out the Monopoly games and
Scrabble.
The Scrabble. We have some hoots on some Scrabble.
Man, I will never forget the moment that Dustin.
Yes, I know where you're going.
Dustin struggling like at 2 a.m. and just asked the question, is hand job one word or two words?
Is it one or two words? And I think April's response was, it depends.
Yeah, what's the context?
I remember that. And I remember one night we were playing Scrabble and somebody had put rope, RAROAP.
No.
And it stayed on the board for like 3 rounds. And somebody was building off of it and finally said, "What the hell is ROAP?" And the person said, "Rope." Still didn't catch it. Like soap.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so games are, they're enlightening. They allow you to have a blast, and like I said, it builds gray matter, but some nights it just destroys gray matter too. Like rope.
Oh man, there's nothing like playing Scrabble with people who can't spell or have a very limited vocabulary.
or like playing with you that you can take 2 letters and get 50 points and squash everybody.
Look, you said you wanted to play the game, all right?
Yeah, I did.
Don't get on me because I'm good at it.
Yeah. Hey, the game, not the player.
Yeah, and then you asked me to define the word. It's not called definitions, all right?
All right, what in the hell is that one? It's in the dictionary.
Look it up.
Look it up. And it's there. It's there. And then we get to the point where we started arguing, is that the Scrabble dictionary?
Yeah, right. No arguments anymore. You got the Scrabble dictionary by the table. We know.
Yes, we have and we bring it out. We bring it out with we have to around our house, especially late when you got a damn X and a Y and a Q, and you got to spell a word with. People get desperate, but the one thing, the girl, I guess all the camping too. When you take your kids off into national parks, that there are no Wi-Fi's and there's no cell phones, and it's enlightening and it's fun to see them just break out a board game and have a blast with it.
Yeah. So
well, back on cards, we still play cards on a weekly basis, hand and foot.
Oh yeah,
and spades. Lorraine comes down and we play 3-handed spades once or twice a week.
Oh, that's nice.
And then when on Friday night and Saturday, when Brooks comes in and because she doesn't have classes on Fridays this semester, so she comes home and works at Chick-fil-A, but she'll when she gets off, she plays hand and foot with us, which is the card game, kind of like a canasta.
Yeah.
but
Or
we still play a lot of cards,
yeah.
and I guess I will always I'll always play them and still talk people into coming down and playing some pool when they're here, and
Well,
don't foosball has kind of gotten away. I don't have that many people that foosball. If you ever just get it handed to you by a person that really knows how to play the game
right,
and can play defense,
right.
you get humbled real fast, and you just learn. You just figure out that I can't play that game, and you walk away from
Oh, you're talented. Got
it.
it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All I can do is
Oh
just spin and hope.
yeah. Oh, that's what you're gonna do. Okay. Well, thank you for the lesson.
Right. That's what it was like, playing foosball and ping pong with Jack for years. It was just like,
Yes.
all right, I
Yep.
got to actually learn to play this game to hope have a
Yep.
chance.
Yep. But like I said, those are the pub games. It was in the day. It was a good way to. Most people did it to keep themselves entertained in bars, and it kept the really fellows occupied.
Yeah.
And
It's just the same way when you're, when we would go to your house and it's like, hey, y'all want to just go downstairs and shoot pool? So maybe two people are shooting, two or three are sitting around the room and just talking, and it's relaxing and it's pleasant. It's nice.
chunking some darts.
Oh yeah. Don't even have to play darts. It's just satisfying to throw them and hear a thud on the wall. It is, and with your setup, you also, because when you hung it up to protect the wall, y'all put carpet and like, I'm guessing there's probably a piece of like plywood or something behind it.
A double sheetrock.
Double sheetrock, yeah, because it thuds into that wall and it's satisfying.
Yeah, yeah.
You miss the board and you're like, no, it's okay. That sounded great.
Yeah, especially late in the evening when someone wants to show me their change up or their knuckleball and throw it at 90 miles an hour.
Look, it's real fun, but it is terrifying when you hit the metal directly and the dart comes flying back at you at about 60 miles an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, and that certainly happens. I mean, I've probably gone through 100 sets of flights on the ends of the darts just from sticking a pattern dart on dart on dart on dart. And having the flights fly all over the place because you're actually hitting the dart with the dart.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A lot. But like I said, it's there's been numerous times that I want to get I've talked for years with the girls about taking the pool table out, but even them both of them will say, no, we like having it down there. We can watch. We'll watch TV around the dart, around the pool table, but just leave it because we like going down there and playing.
It's fun.
And in fact, I walked down there one time on a slumber party, and all the girls, they were taking the balls and throwing them. Everybody had a ball, and they're throwing them on the table back and forth. I don't know what they called it, but they played it for an hour, and they never picked up a pool cue.
Been there.
Yeah. And it had a game for it, and it's it's almost like a last man standing. You could continue to throw a ball as long as nobody knocked yours in.
Right. Yeah. You're just trying to knock each other's in, with it. And, I know there were times where, you get on a losing streak with your friends down there and you're just like, look, if we didn't have the cues, I'd beat you. Be like, fine, let's play the next game just with our hand. And you're like, fine, let's do it. And then you still lose and you're like, all right, it's
not my night.
It's not my night.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but that's a nice thing too, that one of the, in all the pubs, especially when you go out in public, the nice thing about being good at it is you got to hold the table all night.
Yeah.
Because everybody would throw a quarter, you might go someplace, there might be 10 quarters lined up, meaning you got 9 people waiting to play, and you're not going to get to play for another hour if you can't hold the table.
Right.
So it made you learn the game and play the game and actually try to win the game, or else you just lost your table for an hour.
Yeah.
But as long as you could beat them, you could stay up and play all night, and it wouldn't cost you nothing because
Right.
you're playing on their quarter.
Right. Because they're the one paying.
Yeah. So you got that competitive need taken care of.
Yeah.
And the other thing that pool's kind of, it was just like sports, and it was like music, and there was a lot of diversity in your pool rooms
Oh, yeah.
from the get-go. One of the best pool players I ever had to come up against night after night after night when he showed up was in a wheelchair. And he shot so easy and so smooth that you could go to sleep before the ball fell into the pocket,
Jeez.
but he never lost.
Yeah.
He's just like a Minnesota Fats or something, but just super smooth. And like I said, he was completely bound in that wheelchair. He couldn't stand up. He couldn't get out of it. So it was nice that they always had a lot of room around the table,
Yeah.
and people felt comfortable. They could come in there, sit in their wheelchair, and shoot lights out and hold the table all night long.
I love that.
It's a great way to spend the night and stay active, and not just sit around the table. The pub games are there for a reason.
Right. Absolutely.
You get a lot of camaraderie, and like I said, when every time I stop and see Maxie in Texas, there's going to be a golf game and there's going to be a dart game.
Right. Yeah. And with your current setup, it's also quite nice because you know that people want to come over to your place, and you don't have like that added stress of figuring out where are we going, what are we doing tonight. Like it's just, hey, everybody just come over here. We got room. Yep. It's nice.
Casa de Woods.
Yeah. So like in a way, because you said like you got the pool table probably when the girls were about 2 years old or something, mm-hmm. You know, in a way, you at that time you stopped smoking, you no longer drinking. You just brought the bar home.
You just brought the party home.
Yeah. Is what you did. And I mean, it's great.
It was a good place for everybody to come over, and still remains a good place.
Still is. Yep. Well, Dad, thank you for joining me tonight. I'm glad we could talk and kind of catch up and talk to you soon.
All right.